All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something called DevOps. You might not have heard of it, but it's this hidden engine that's quietly revolutionizing, well, pretty much our entire digital world. It's the reason your favorite apps seem to get better all the time, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how it works. Okay, so think back for a second. Do you remember those massive software launches? I'm talking about things like Windows 95, where people were literally lining up at midnight. It was this huge, high-stakes event that happened maybe once every few years. If there was a single bug, it was a total disaster. Now fast forward to today. A company like GitHub, they push out new code dozens of times a day, and we don't even blink. The updates are tiny, they're low risk, and they're just constant. So the big question is, how on earth did we get from there to here? How did we go from those giant, terrifying releases to this world of just constant, seamless improvement? Well, the answer is a really powerful idea. It's part philosophy and it's part practice. So to really get this, we have to start with the why. And look, this wasn't just about getting faster computers or better internet. Nope. This was a fundamental change in how people thought about building software. It was a total cultural shift. And that shift has a name, DevOps. It's kind of right there on the name, right? It's about combining two teams that, for the longest time, were totally separate. You had the development team, the dev folks, who write the code. And then you had the operations team, the ops folks, who had to run and maintain that code on all the servers. DevOps be all about smashing those two worlds together, getting them to work towards one single shared goal. So what is that big shared goal? It's actually pretty simple, but it's also really profound. The continuous delivery of value to customers. That's it. The whole point is to get new features, bug fixes, and all those little improvements out to you, the user, as quickly and as safely as humanly possible. And let's be real, in today's world, being able to do that faster than your competition, that's everything. I love this idea. The goal here is to make deploying new software a non-event. Think about that. Instead of some big, scary, high-risk thing you do once a year with your fingers crossed, it just becomes boring. It's a routine, safe part of the daily grind. This perfectly captures that shift from the drama of a Windows 95 launch to the calm, everyday updates we get now. Okay, so that's the philosophy, the big why. But how does it actually work in the real world? Well, that brings us to the what, the three core practices that really put this whole idea into action. And it all starts right here with the foundation. It's called continuous integration, or just CI for short. This is really step one in building out that automated low-risk pipeline we've been talking about. So how does this CI thing work? The best way to think about it is like a super efficient quality control check on an assembly line. Every single time a developer adds a new piece of code, like a new part for the machine, an automated process just kicks right in. It instantly builds the whole application and runs a ton of tests to make sure that new little part didn't break anything else. The key here, and this is huge, is finding and fixing bugs in minutes, not waiting for weeks. All right, so once you've got that solid foundation of continuous integration, where you're confident that every new change is being tested automatically, you can move on to the next logical step, continuous delivery. Continuous delivery basically takes CI and kicks it up a notch. So after the code is built and it passes all those tests, it's then automatically packaged up into a final version. What this means is that at any given moment, you have a version of your software that you know works and it's totally ready to be shipped out to your users. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the most automated stage of this whole pipeline, continuous deployment. Honestly, this is where the real magic happens, where those constant, seamless updates really come to life. With continuous deployment, there's no final human gatekeeper. There's no one waiting to push the big red button. If a new piece of code passes all of the automated build and test stages, boom, it's automatically released directly to everyone. This is exactly how some companies can push out new code tens, sometimes even hundreds of times every single day. Okay, pay attention here because this is where a lot of people get mixed up. What's the real difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment? It's simple, really. With continuous delivery, the release is all packaged up and ready to go, but a human still has to make the final call and push the button. It's a business decision. But with continuous deployment, if all the tests pass, the machine pushes the button all by itself. So one's a manual trigger and the other is completely automatic. That's the key difference. So we've covered the why and the what. Now let's get into the how.
What are the actual tools that make all of this automation happen? You can think of these as the engines that power the whole DevOps pipeline.
You're going to see a lot of different names out there, but they all pretty much do the same thing. They run these automated workflows for you. Platforms like GitHub Actions or Jenkins or Azure DevOps, they're basically the command centers where developers lay out all the steps, build, test, and deploy, that take their code and turn it into a live product that you and I can actually use. All right, let's zoom back out for a second and bring this all together. We've talked about the philosophy, the practices, and the tools. But why does any of this actually matter? I mean, beyond just getting slightly smoother updates on our apps. Well, it matters because this whole system, this thing working behind the scenes, is a huge competitive advantage. You know that bug fix that just magically appeared overnight? Or that cool little new feature that just showed up one day? That's DevOps at work. For a business, this means they can respond to customer feedback almost instantly. They can get new ideas out the door faster than their competition, and they can build a much more reliable product. It's really the engine of continuous business improvement in our digital world. And that brings us right back to where we started. The ultimate goal of this entire system, the philosophy, the practices, the tools, it's all about making this one idea a reality. It's about transforming the whole act of releasing software from this huge, risky nightmare into something so routine, so safe, and so common that it's just a non-event. And that really leaves us with one last thought. When you dramatically lower the risk and the effort it takes to ship new code, DevOps doesn't just make software a little better. It makes it possible for teams to experiment and innovate at a speed we could have never imagined before. So when releasing new ideas becomes this easy, companies can stop worrying about the how and start focusing on the real question: what's the next big thing we can build?